Well, joining us here in the studio is Sultan Barakat. He's a professor of public policy at Hamad bin Khalifa University. Good to have you with us, Sultan. And as we were hearing there from Christian, the Security Council is meeting. It was delayed by 24 hours because the Qatari leadership wanted to be there, represented there. What do we expect to come out of that meeting? And do you think perhaps the Americans might come on board if there is indeed a resolution to do with these attacks?
Yes. Well, I suppose the Qataris have their own calculations as to why they asked for the postponement. But my own opinion is that it should not have been postponed. I think it would have been better to take place at the heat of the moment.
Immediately. Some of the heat has come out of it now.
These are the nature of United Nations Security Council meetings. And the condemnation to Israel, that international condemnation that was circulating yesterday and so on, should have been captured while it's hot. Also, allowing another day would allow Netanyahu more space to further twist the facts and to argue particularly within the United States. We know that Netanyahu is extremely politically fluent within the US. I mean, he's one of the very few leaders who have managed to get a joint Congress meeting of the Democrats and the Republicans and listen to him for, I think, probably at least 4 times back in 1999, in 2011, 2015, and more recently in 2024. And it's always after a disaster like this. He knows exactly how to manipulate the politics in the United States. He will get them to listen to him. And as we all know, he is pathologically liar, as was described by a former US ambassador to Israel. So the guy is capable of doing everything, and we should do our best to not allow him the space and the time.
Well, as you say, it's allowed this space for things to be said, not least his ambassador to the US saying, if we didn't get them this time, we'll get them next time. And then Netanyahu himself doubling down, and I'll read you the quote. I say to Qatar and all nations who harbour terrorists, you either expel them or you bring them to justice, because if you don't, we will. He will continue, and he will do so feeling an utter sense of impunity.
Absolutely. I mean, he's known for his ability to distort reality. I mean, he lives in a world of his own, committed to his biblical vision, as he has put it, and his spiritual mission, as he put it a few weeks ago. And all this business about confusing Hamas with international global terrorism is part of this. The fact that he now is able to say, well, we did what the United States did with Osama bin Laden, or what the United States did with Baghdadi. That's totally nonsense, because Hamas, to start with, is not enlisted on the United Nations terrorist list. It may be on some bilateral countries list, including Israel, maybe some European countries, the United States, but it is not globally, internationally, under the UN Charter, recognized as a terrorist organization.
But also they were here with the full cognizance of the US and indeed Israel itself.
That is important, but it's not the key issues. I mean, he should not be targeting the political leadership of a party that he's negotiating with anywhere, whether be it in Qatar or anywhere else. Sure. And now that he's pushing the Qataris to close the office, I think if they do close the office, it will look like he's got a win, and he is desperate to at least reach a compromise where they close the office, then he can stand to his own people and to us. So, see, our raid worked. Yeah. We achieved them. At least they pushed the Hamas people out. Now they pushed them out. Where will they go? They will end up in places where he cannot at all, have any communication. I think the opportunity is now narrowing. They could go to Iran. Then that's the end of any possibility of political resolution. And I doubt it. Turkey had the possibility of hosting them from the beginning, and they decided against it. But it's not... Turkey, I don't think he would do that. And the Turkish politics is very in an upheaval at the moment. I don't think they'll do it.
Sultan, let's take a moment quickly and talk about this regional diplomacy that's going on. Gulf leaders rallying around Qatar, the Saudi leader arriving, de facto leader arriving today, Thursday. What is it they hope to achieve by a so-called collective response?
I hope it's not the usual Arab collective response, where they end up wasting time by meeting and talking about the issue rather than taking actions. All those countries have cards and they have leverage, either directly on Israel, like the United Arab Emirates, with its direct links and so on, or indirectly through the United States and leverage on the United States. And they should have really triggered it from the day this has happened. Now, if they come with some proposals, concrete actionable proposals to be deliberated here, it's fine. And I think that would be very helpful. But if they were to come just to show Arab solidarity and set up a committee to look into this and so on, then it's going to go the same way a lot of similar crises have, unfortunately, disappeared over the last few decades. So I think it's very important for the Arabs to recognize that this is unprecedented, and it is putting all the sovereignty at risk, not just Qatar's sovereignty. To start with, the Gulf Joint Defense Agreement, arrangements, and so on, that has been infringed now in a very blatant way. And unlike what happened when the Iranians, had that organized arrangement with the United States, this is without any form of pre-informed, if you like, action. There will be next. Israel is working towards dominating the whole region, and unfortunately, they are now in a position of manipulating, as I said earlier, the United States politics, and they see themselves as an extension to the United States. And they don't have any economic worries anymore because they're financed by the United States without any questioning. Every country that works with the US or is supplied by US weapons, every time they have to recharge again their weaponry arsenal and so on, they need to go back to Congress, except for Israel. Now it's been presidential decree after the other, allowing them more and more supplies without even having a debate within the United States on whether Israel can be allowed more weapons. So he's really riding high at the moment, Netanyahu, and it's very, very dangerous because the psychology of this man is, aside from being a pathological liar, as I said earlier, he is one of the few leaders that has actually killed in his own hand. I mean, he has assassinated in the past when he was working with the special forces. He believes in assassination as a means of resolving problems.
Okay. Sultan Barakat, thank you very much for your thoughts.
Thank you.